Georgia didn't just decide the presidency in 2020, it reshaped American politics. Nearly 6 years later, President Trump says new declassified information is coming and that the Georgia story isn't finished. Before that happens, let's rewind the clock and follow the timeline from the ballots to the courtroom, and where things stand today. Why won't Donald just let it go? The recounts. Election night ended with Joe Biden leading Georgia by just 11,779 votes. Because the margin was so close, Georgia conducted one of the most extensive election reviews in its history. First came a statewide hand audit of nearly 5 million paper ballots. Then, at the Trump campaign's request, officials performed a machine recount. Both processes reached the same conclusion: Joe Biden carried Georgia. The hand audit corrected some county-level counting errors and slightly narrowed the margin, but it did not change the outcome. Georgia certified the results, and later certified them again after the recount. Donald John Trump Jr. lost the political battle. The fight didn't end with the presidential race. In January 2021, Georgia held 2 U.S. Senate runoff elections. John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock both won, giving Democrats control of the United States Senate. Warnock also became Georgia's first black U.S. senator. At the same time, President Trump continued challenging Georgia's election process. His January 2 phone call with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, later released publicly, became part of multiple investigations. Over the next several years, courts reviewed lawsuits, investigators examined ballots, election officials conducted additional reviews, and prosecutors launched criminal investigations related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election. While several procedural issues and election administration concerns were identified over the years, none of the official reviews changed Georgia's certified 2020 presidential result.
Where things stand today. Now, July 15, 2026, President Trump says newly declassified intelligence will reveal more about the 2020 election and election security. Federal investigators have continued examining aspects of Georgia's election administration, and legal proceedings connected to the 2020 election are still unfolding. But as of today, one fact remains unchanged: Georgia's certified 2020 presidential election results, and the elections of Senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, have not been overturned. The SAVE Act? Another Trump, fake news, agenda item. What's the worst-case scenario? So what could happen if new evidence is released? A recount by itself would be unlikely to change the outcome. Georgia has already completed both a statewide hand audit and a machine recount. If investigators found new counting errors or legal violations, courts would still have to determine whether those issues affected enough votes to change the certified result. The most consequential theoretical scenario would be this: new evidence is uncovered, investigators verify it, courts determine it is legally significant, and then legislatures or courts decide what legal remedy, if any, is available. But there's an important distinction. The 2020 presidential election has already been certified, Congress counted the Electoral College votes, and that presidential term ended in January 2025. There is no established legal mechanism to retroactively install a different president for that completed term. Any proven findings today would more likely affect criminal accountability, future election laws, election administration, or public understanding than reverse the completed 2020 presidency. This story isn't just about politics, it's about understanding how elections, recounts, investigations, the mind of Trump and the courts actually work. If you value timelines built on documented events, verified facts, and legal records instead of rumors, pettiness of Trump or headlines alone, subscribe, share this video, and comment below with the next topic you'd like me to break down from beginning to end.